Space exploration and travel has seen a significant decline in funding since 1958.
When Christopher Columbus sailed west to reach the Indies, he traveled for patronage. At the time, it was considered a fool's trip. Space exploration is similar. We cannot yet know the importance it will hold in our future.
The years 1963 to 1969 were the only years in U.S. history that NASA received over 2% of the total budget. And what we were able to fund was historic. We landed a man on the moon. But the view of many Americans nowadays is they don't want their hard-earned tax dollars going towards NASA. Maybe we resent the fact that roughly $10 of our annual income tax goes to funding space exploration and travel. But just think how much it could help us.
NASA is saying in their new budget that they want to commercialize and privatize the program. Why aren't you supporting that? And I have to admit that I think it comes down to an issue of semantics. When I think of privatization, I make three assumptions. It will cost the taxpayer less money, there will be a smaller government force in use, and there will be better product.
Some people are completely against the space program. A public apathy, lack of knowing the benefits, and more pressing matters lead people to ask the question, why can't we be spending that money on more pressing matters like the economy, homelessness, and the housing market?
I feel that it's really, it's a downfall. I don't feel like the government is necessarily realizing that, young scientists such as y'all's age, and even in high school and college, that there's some really great research that can be done. And it also helps to motivate students of your age to then pursue like a STEM type of career.
A key misconception among many Americans is just how much government money goes into the space program relative to other government departments. Probably not as much as you think.
I think space exploration and the space program in general is a great benefit to our society, economically, socially, and the world in general. I think it advances technology and science and knowledge, which is not only important on the here and now, but also for our future.
Senator Richard Shelby's funding bill for NASA is already facing heavy criticism that impose strict accounting requirements on the next stage of the Commercial Crew program. The requirements would almost certainly increase costs and delay the first crewed commercial launches beyond 2017, forcing NASA to yet again extend its reliance to the Russian Space Agency to launch U.S. astronauts into space.
When Neil Armstrong took those first steps to the moon, it was yet another example of how far human ingenuity can extend. It brought people together in a way that only great moments like this can.
The United States and the Soviet Union are constantly competing to launch satellites, spacecraft, and astronauts into orbit, resulting in Sputnik, the space shuttle program, and 6 successful manned missions to the moon. We are constantly in a space race with other countries, but this go around, with a lack of funding, we may not win.
I want to say it's difficult to come into direct contact with the type of industry. You see it on TV, you see spaceships, you see exciting things, but it's kind of difficult for the community to connect with the space industry. And I feel that's probably one of the biggest problems in it getting funding.
When it comes to space exploration by the United States, things have been slowing down significantly in the last few decades. And just in the last few years, we've watched, for example, the shuttle program disappear entirely and funding for NASA cut exponentially.
Space exploration has changed rapidly in recent years. NASA has been struggling to get the congressional funding and positive political sentiment it requires to have a bright future in space. It relies heavily on private enterprise.
Well, right now the House and the Senate are sort of midway through the 2015 appropriations process. The full House has passed their version of NASA's 2015 budget. You're looking at about $17.9 billion with a B. And the Senate's at about the same place. The Senate Appropriations Committee got their bill to the floor, and we might see some action on that next week. They're at about the same level with a few differences.
The Amendment to the United States Constitution, which is part of the Bill of Rights, was created on December 15, 1791. It expresses the principle of federalism by stating the federal government possesses only those powers delegated to it by the states or the people.
One of the main reasons that NASA isn't getting as much funding is because education is also suffering from a lack of funding. And by funding the space program, we can use that money to help educate the next generation's knowledge on space.
When John F. Kennedy made his first speech about landing a man on the moon in May 1961, another country was actually ahead of the United States in space exploration. That country was the Soviet Union.
One statement commonly used is that the United States of America is already trillions of dollars in debt. Why would we spend that money on something that really isn't that important? A second statement that is commonly used is that we don't even know our own planet. Why would we explore out of ours?
By funding a space program, we inspire the next generation to go into fields of science and engineering. We show the world that we are smart and self-sufficient people looking out for the future. We expand our understanding of the universe we inhabit. We continue the human tradition of exploration. We have the drive that has pushed our community to achieve things that we think are impossible. We pave a path for the eventual expansion of humanity and the mysteries we will unveil.
John F. Kennedy once said, "We choose to go to the moon this decade and do other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one that we are unwilling to postpone, and one we will intend to win."